The Whitney Reynolds Show is supported by Reach Out Community Center. Reach out and help one child at a time.
Like, it's important that we reach out, like as a community, reach out and just say, hey, kids, we do care about you and we want to see you fulfill your dreams and you mean something to this world.
Well, you just heard from Chicago native Common, the rapper and actor, who has given back to the community and has a focus on the youth. Today's show is called The Future of Our Youth. Now, this is a topic that we've seen in the headlines, from gun violence all the way to the high school dropout rate. You're watching The Whitney Reynolds Show. Our first guest is Carolyn Murray, whose 19-year-old son was fatally shot in front of his grandmother's home while visiting from San Diego. Let's hear her story. Carolyn, welcome to the show. You know, today's topic is future of our youth, and your son, his future was cut way too short. Can you take us back to that day?
Oh goodness, I play it over in my mind so many times. I received a call that something was going on in front of my mother's house. I was surprised by Justin. He had came back from California. He had went to go to school and get a job and kind of find his way in California with family. And he surprised the visit, and they said that there was something wrong and that I needed to go to my mom's block right away. And I received another call from my niece telling me that it was really, really bad and that there was an ambulance and I needed to go to the hospital.
So you didn't even know he was coming in. It was a surprise visit.
Yes.
Surprise, just out of nowhere. He was only in for four hours when this happened?
Yes. He had came in from California. I had his best friend that I had raised for several years. He was coming in from the Air Force. He was on leave, so it was a family gathering. I had talked to Justin, and we were going to make the flight arrangements for him that following week after his friend had got in. But he surprised me, and he came to my mom's house, and I never got to see him. It was the most horrific, tragic hospital ordeal that I could think of in my life, just waiting and getting there to find out that I'll never see him again. The last time I saw him was the last time I saw him, and it's changed my life. And not a day goes by that I don't have to think about what is happening and how it affects our youth, and the work that I was doing before with Justin's murder, how it affects the way that I look to the future to help youth.
Right. The shooting happened right in front of the grandmother's home.
Yes, yes.
Gang activity, was that involved?
Well, Justin wasn't in a gang. He had went to California to go to school and to start his life. And have we seen an influx of gang activity in Evanston? I would say yes, but on that block, they have had some problems. But Justin was standing outside talking to some family members and some friends that were happy to see him because he had just came back from California. So in my son's case, he wasn't the intended target, and he wasn't a part of the ongoing gang rivalry that we've seen that's plagued our city.
What kind of crime would you call this? A random act of violence?
I'm more so going in the direction of saying the tabooed word of black on black violence that we've been experiencing, and it's been going on for quite some time.
What exactly is black on black violence, in case someone doesn't know?
Well, when we're looking at youths that don't have opportunities and don't have structured home environments and empowered opportunities, as some would say in other demographics or other communities, they tend to lash out on each other with some falsehoods as to what it means to be represented in our community as a man. You know, looking to other things, maybe clusters or gang-related or drug-related. And we're even seeing an influx of gun dealers and having that underworld of guns being a market in our community as well. And it's unfortunate, but we see the numbers in record numbers in Chicago that has put us on the map nationally, and Evanston borders Chicago. So we're now seeing an influx of the type of crime happening in our community as well.
If you had to paint a picture of that day, it was just, he got off the plane, completely innocent, 19 years old, coming home to visit, and then all of a sudden he's in the hospital. And did you ever get a chance to say bye?
The final goodbyes was when I dropped him off at the airport to start a new life. 19 years old, full of life, full of adventure and opportunity and wanting to live. And that was the last memory with his wonderful smile, just such a handsome boy. And that's what I remember. I question why I didn't have an opportunity to get there quicker, but I just have that wonderful fond memory of our last visit, as opposed to being a mother just catapulted on the side of a hospital bed while he lay dying. So it has inspired me to do more work and just bring the full connection of getting our community back on track and ending this senseless violence that we've been experiencing.
So his legacy lives on. You were actually already working on gun laws before this happened.
Oh my goodness. There hasn't been a program that I haven't been a part of in Evanston that is promoting anti-gun violence. From National Night Out, from prayer visuals, from candlelight visuals, to even gun buybacks that Justin actively helped out, that we had a week after I funeralized Justin.
Wow.
To this date, we've collected almost 100 guns in Evanston with the various gun buyback programs that we've had in our community, as well as the candlelight visuals that Justin actually helped out in on one, to later have a candlelight visual for himself.
Well, you haven't stopped just in Evanston either. You've taken it all the way to Washington.
Oh, definitely.
You've met President Obama.
Yes.
What did he have to say about all this?
I remember when I had saw him in Chicago, he was just speaking about gun violence in the high school at High Park. And he looked at me and he says, Carolyn, how are you doing? And I was like, oh my God, the president knows my name. But it was from the speech that he did for the State of the Union, where I stood up with Justin's picture, this picture here.
He's with us today too,
Exactly. I stood up, and when he said gun violence, I just automatically just snapped, and I stood up in a very surreal moment for myself, just wanting to say, enough of this, enough of mothers burying their children. And interesting enough, I mean, I know that gun violence affects us in the urban areas slightly different from the Cullibines or the Sunnybrooks, but it's still affecting. One murder is a murder.
Right.
And it's been such a tragedy for us as family members to move on and move past this. So just simple gun bans and community activities that involve everyone. No finger pointing. It's enough that the police have to police the streets in this type of setting, with the threat levels being as high and the relations not being that great with youth, but just looking to programs and sponsoring things that kids can get involved in that can be productive and empowering, as opposed to just destroying each other.
Carolyn, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. His legacy lives on. If you had to say one last thing that you would like to pass on to people at home, what would it be?
You can empower your community, just living and being a part of it.
You can empower your community. Well, that is great. Thank you so much.
Do you have any thoughts of how we can lower gun violence here in Illinois?
I would think the first thing is to start by having more police patrol on the streets.
Sure. I mean, I'll just give you three basic answers. One is more regulation. Second is, there has to be gun violence education at the school level. And thirdly, we have to adopt some of the laws that have been implemented with our neighbors up north in Canada. because they don't seem to have a lot of gun violence, and they have extremely strict gun control laws in all their provinces. So if we can just borrow maybe 10% or 20% of their laws or their law platforms, I'm sure it could work out in a big city like Chicago.
Well, I'm from Texas, and I am going to have to say, let everyone have guns. Let the good guys have the guns too, because it seems like the bad guys are the only ones that aren't paying attention to the gun laws. So I know like Arizona, they have, everyone can carry guns and they have lower violence.
Do you have any thoughts of how we can lower gun violence here in Illinois?
Absolutely. The thing is, they're really misunderstood. So, instead of like judging the people who are, you might think are doing some of those things, it's really just to care about them. It's so easy for us to judge each other, right? Or judge someone, you see who looks a certain way, or some of the gun violence you may see. But when we embrace them and love them and really take the time to understand what the issues are and kind of break through that, then you'll find you'll get to the real core of the issues. And I think, that may not be the most popular answer, but it's one of those things that, saved me from really being an at-risk youth. And that's the problem with the gun violence.
No, I think it's all about consciousness. It's about structure. I mean, it goes beyond laws and regulations. I mean, it starts at the core and the soul value, I mean, it just can't happen overnight because it's intrinsic in people's nature on how they need to survive, how they need to live. So how do you change that? You can't change that overnight. You're not going to write some law and all of a sudden it's going to be fine.
Teach people how to think before they act.
Well, personally, I think that it's our right to own guns, but I think that there needs to be stricter controls, better screening process on who's purchasing guns, where they're going, and more records that we keep on what people are doing with their guns. Maybe just following up with who's purchasing them and what they're doing with the guns. So just stricter screening and just filtration of who's buying guns. Really, I think that's one of the best ways to reduce that violence.
Sure. One quick thing that could help would be cash for guns. I know local banks like J.P. Morgan Chase offer prepaid debit cards for getting assault rifles and handguns off the streets through a cash incentive program.
I think reducing gun violence, period, is kind of futile. Take away the guns, people are just going to scab each other. Take away the knives, they're just going to beat each other up. It really comes down to a human issue, what's inside you, what's going on in your head, what is causing you to be angry or evil towards somebody else. So reducing guns, I don't think it's going to solve the problem.
Any thoughts of how we can reduce gun violence here in Illinois?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I think that everybody should be registered that wants a gun, and those people that are just selling guns without registering them, they should at least, there should be some kind of consequences on that. I think they should be at least spend some time in jail so that they can understand that there are consequences of all of that.
So if you expose people less to TV, to violent movies, to violent video games, the violence will decrease. This is about having parents control their access to violence in the media.
I think if you give people the right education, then violence will go down, especially in the gun arena, because people are not educated. They go out, they purchase the guns, and I just think that education is the key to everything. So I think if we educate people, things will be better off.
Our next guest is a professional boxer. He is fighting for kids to stay out of trouble. David Diaz is a boxer known for winning 36 of his 40 career fights. He held the WBC lightweight title until losing it in 2008 to Manny Pacquiao. Although he's officially retired, he's still boxing, however, with a new passion, helping our youth. He started an after-school program to help kids find a new hobby and also keep them out of gangs. So David, you're teaching kids how to box to keep them out of gangs. How does that work?
Well, we teamed up with Thomas Cicero, the mayor there. Town President Larry Dominic called me up, and he wanted to make a program for boxing because I had many fights in the town of Cicero, so I'm very well known in there. And he asked me if I wanted to head up their program for after-school boxing program, and I was like, definitely for it.
Is Cicero an area that the youth need something to keep them active?
Definitely, definitely. I believe, especially in the area, the more Latino kids are involved in that area, they need an outlet to go out there and blow off some steam, I like to say.
Is that what you had as a kid? Is that how you got into boxing?
That's exactly how I got into boxing. I went to the boxing program that they had at the Chicago Park Districts, and went in there because I was a little trouble kid that liked to fight a lot. So my dad brought me to the gym, and he told me, he's like, why don't you go fight here? At least like that you won't get in trouble for it. I was like, all right, let me try it out. So we did, and the rest is history.
Well, that's an interesting concept, because I know for me, I even think boxing is a lot like fighting, but when you're boxing, it's safe fighting.
It is, and you're able to come out with a little less bruises, and the fight, though it might take a little bit longer, because normally those street fights last for about 2-3 minutes, and it's a good thing for kids to go in there, though, not just to look for the boxing ability, but also to get some structure and dedication, and to do something with pride.
And do you give guidance too, as a little bit of boxing and a little bit of nurturing and telling kids, you can do this too, don't get in trouble?
Exactly. I also tell them not only about, not to get in trouble, but encouragement. Like, yes, I know boxing may not be for you, but just like how we work out here, we do it all the time, you can take this same work ethic and apply it to something that you really like. I just try to show them that they got to work hard. If they work hard, good things will come out of it.
It's interesting because when you get to know kids, sometimes they start revealing more kind of where they're at. Whenever you get them one-on-one and that you become their friend or their mentor, they let you know more. And it is shocking whenever you hear sometimes that kids do know about gangs when they're 6 years old.
Oh yeah, it's true, especially in that area where I'm at, in Sizzle. It's a very heavy populated with gang activity, and a lot of the kids that come there are kids that are afraid of the gang violence that's around there. So in essence, they're there to protect themselves a little bit from them guys. But I really would love to get the ones that are not involved in the boxing program, because I want to reach out to them and tell them to come in here and not be fighting out there, and to have it in the ring. And who knows, maybe something will come out of it.
Well, how do you do that? How do you get out there and, even to the older kids?
Well, what I do intentionally is I make my kids run, and I go out and run with them.
Oh.
So when the guys are saying something like that, I'll be like, come here, man, let's talk for a little bit.
Oh, so you just get right in the thick of it.
Yeah, yes. And obviously I run with the kids, so nothing bad happens to them. I don't want nothing, to be, the coach let us run but didn't come with us. No, I wanted to be out there with them. And whenever someone says something to the kids, I call them over and I'm like, would you like to do this? Oh. Would you like to get in shape?
So what are the age limits right now that kids can get involved?
It's funny, I have 6-year-olds that actually go there from 6 to the oldest is 32 right now.
Do you ever play your highlight reels of your days in the ring?
No, I just tell them to YouTube it.
You just tell them, you should know who I am.
No, I don't say that.
Well, that's wonderful. So you are really helping the next generation and using your own personal experience. You mentioned that that's what got you out of trouble.
Yes.
Is that one of the things that's your biggest message? Is
yes.
Staying structured, busy, and an after-school program is the solution? Is that what you would say?
I would say that, and also another thing that's important and it's very key is parent involvement. The parents have to be involved. My dad was involved. It's because of my dad that I was in the boxing program. So I tell the parents to come in once in a while to check up on their kids, see how they're doing, see how they spar, and see how they work together and everything, so that they could give them encouragement. Because not too long ago, we took our kids to go fight in Joliet. Now, granted, my kids had never fought before. We fought against kids who have some experience. We didn't end up winning, but the kids felt great. They had fun. And they're like, when are we going to go fight again? I want to fight that guy again. So I was like, all right, then there you go.
And like you said, it's basically turning that aggression into positive energy.
That's it.
Well, David, thank you so much for coming on and giving us some hope for the next generation. I heard that you have David Diaz Day.
Yes, I do, September 8th.
Well, we'll be celebrating with you this year.
We sure will.
Thanks again.
Hi, I'm Whitney Reynolds, and you are watching the Social Sizzle. We are here with Michael Shannon. Now, today, the youth is what we're talking about, getting kids off the street. And when you were in 8th grade, you actually found an after-school program that helped you get involved with theater.
Yeah, I started doing a speech team. They gave me a little monologue to work on from a Garrison Keillor book. And I never even actually got to compete. I just practiced it, but it was enough to get me interested.
That's awesome. You know, that's the thing is, like, with the youth, I feel like people really have to get into it. And whenever you're young, it's whenever those influential years. Now, you have a daughter, and has that been big now that you have a daughter? Has kind of changed your perspective?
Changed my perspective?
On, like, getting the youth safe, like, off the streets.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's no stronger concern that you have in your life than the concern you have for your child. I mean, I can't imagine anything happening to her, so I always want to feel like she's in good hands no matter where she is.
Magic Johnson's Bridgescape Academy helps students who have dropped out of high school or are at risk for dropping out. This organization gives students an alternative path to earning a high school degree. The Academy has 2 schools in Chicago, and they are currently in 5 states.
I am here with Magic Johnson. What an amazing day. Tell us what it felt like for you today.
Well, it felt great. I just got emotional, you know, to see one of our students step up there who's about to graduate, you know, and give an emotional speech. I never thought I would run into a young man so intelligent, so smart, and know that he had dropped out. But you listen to him speak, you wouldn't have never thought that. You know, if you met him on the street, you would say, no way, you're a dropout. But the fact that he has come back to school here at Magic Johnson Bridgescape Academy, turned his life around, you know, getting ready to get his diploma and getting ready to go to college, it was just emotional, because this is why I built this school, is to give young people a second chance, learn at their own pace, their own style. We have a really small classroom, so they get a lot of one-on-one attention. And it took all of us to help build this, Alderman, CPS, working with them, and so it's been great.
Well, you know, they always say it takes a village.
That's right.
Would you say that this is creating that in Lawndale?
No question about it. The village has been created. You see Common is here. I thought that he really inspired the young people today. He's a man from Chicago. He has achieved everything in life. He didn't have to be here today, but he was here because he really cares about young people and his Common Ground Foundation. And then with the governor showing up, you know, Governor Quinn, it was outstanding for our young people as well. So Common motivated them in one way, the governor in another way, and so it's really just great to have these 2 big titans that represent Chicago and the state of Illinois so well. And then I just hope that, you know, people look at this academy and understand that we're here to achieve everything that we set out to do, which was to graduate these young people and give them a high school diploma. This will take a lot of young people off the streets and give them a second chance in terms of getting a diploma. I think that everybody has to continue to work together, the governor, the mayor. Also, it's going to take community, too, and parents to really get involved as well. Look, these young people want something different than violence. Trust me. We just got to make sure we give them opportunity, like jobs, you know. And if they can get jobs, then that would take them off the streets as well.
When I was in that interview with Magic Johnson, it really touched me when he stopped and paused and said, Whitney, we must all give back. The next generation is our future. We heard it today through Carolyn's story, her son innocently shot. We must make a difference, guys. We might not have solved the solution today, but we have a start. For more information on today's show, go to thewhitneyreynoldshow.com. Hello, I'm Whitney Reynolds, and you just watched Youth of Our Future. Here at the Whitney Reynolds Show, we recently teamed up with Reach Out Community Center, a nonprofit in South Lawndale. Reach Out's goal is to create a safe space for kids ages 7 to 17 after school. More than 500 youths have been killed in Chicago since 2008, and after-school programs like Reach Out Community Center are thought to be the answer to fight violence in our city. One youth at a time. Just like Magic Johnson said during our show, reach out and help one another. The Whitney Reynolds Show is supported by Reach Out Community Center. Reach out and help one child at a time.